My unfaithful wife was cheating on me, but she had no idea I knew everything until couriers delivered a package to our home that destroyed our marriage. Be me, 29-year-old Tyler, marketing coordinator living in Dallas. Life seemed pretty solid from the outside. Had everything figured out, or so I thought. It started with the towel. Stupid damp blue towel that should have meant nothing. But it meant everything. Just came home from a trip to Miami. Only a 3-day conference, nothing crazy. And the towel was balled up on the floor, right beside our bed. Not hanging in the bathroom where she usually leaves it. Not thrown into the laundry basket like she sometimes remembers. Just there on the beige carpet. Inches from her side of the bed. It was damp, still warm. Didn't say anything that night. Just stood there looking at it, while she scrolled Instagram in bed, smiling faintly to herself. Screen reflecting in her eyes. She didn't even ask how the trip went. Just a "hey babe," and back to the blue glow. That's when the first pin dropped. Victoria and I had been together nearly a decade. We were never the couple that fought publicly. Never posted anniversaries with #blessed, but we were solid. Or so I thought. She had this fire, you know, that kind of presence that made people shut up. When she walked into a room, you either loved her or hated her within 5 minutes. No in between. And me, I was the guy who carried her charger in my backpack, kept her protein bars in my car, memorized her latte order, so I could surprise her on Wednesdays. Didn't need to be loud. Just needed to be the one she came home to. But something had shifted. Her hugs got shorter. Her voice changed just a little. Like she was holding in a laugh that didn't belong to me. One Friday evening, she told me she had a dinner meeting with clients. Nothing unusual, except her tone was off, too rehearsed. She even paused halfway through the sentence, like she was waiting to see if I'd question her. I didn't. Not yet. Instead, I waited in the car. 2 blocks down from the Italian restaurant she told me she'd be at. I saw her get out of a black BMW at 8:15 p.m., wearing a dress I hadn't seen in 8 months, the kind of dress she used to wear on our anniversary. She laughed as she closed the passenger door. Then she touched the driver's arm. He touched her lower back. They didn't go into the restaurant. They turned the corner and walked toward the Hilton on 7th. I didn't follow them. I already knew. The next morning, I woke up and made her coffee, just the way she liked it. Oat milk cappuccino, 1 sugar, dash of vanilla. I watched her drink it in her robe, hair still damp from the shower. Phone on silent beside her. She smiled, said, "You're so sweet, babe." And for the first time in our relationship, I wanted to crush that mug in my hand and walk away forever. But I didn't, because she didn't know I knew. And that was going to be my advantage. That Sunday, she said she was going to her sister's house in Riverside. Brunch. Just the girls, she said, kissing me on the cheek like we were still something. She even made a show of putting on sneakers. Victoria never wore sneakers unless she wanted me to believe. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. I nodded, watched her throw a canvas bag over her shoulder, and floated out the door, like she had no idea the walls around her were already caving in. I didn't follow her. Not this time. I sent someone else. His name's Marcus. Works in security at my company. Big guy, sharp eyes, quiet type. I once helped his wife get a job after she got laid off. He owed me. And he didn't ask questions. Just parked 2 cars down from her sister's house. And texted me live updates. 11:15 a.m. She's not there. 11:38 a.m. BMW pulled up. She got in. 11:44 a.m. They're headed downtown. I stayed home, pacing the living room like a caged animal. My hands were shaking. Not from fear, but from this crawling, boiling feeling that I had never felt before. Betrayal has a flavor. Bitter, metallic, acidic, and it gets into your teeth. You can't spit it out. You taste it for days. At 1:23 p.m., Marcus sent me the picture. Victoria in that emerald dress, leaning across a table, laughing. Touching his arm again. Not the same guy from the hotel. A different one. She had a type, apparently. Tall, trim beard, expensive watch. The kind of guy who sends texts from a leather chair in a wine bar. I stared at the photo for a long time. Not because I was surprised, but because of her face. She looked happy. Not fake happy, not networking happy. Genuinely alive. She hadn't looked like that with me in over a year. I used to think it was stress, deadlines, hormones. But now I knew. That glow, that wasn't work. That wasn't yoga. That wasn't some internal journey of self-care. It was deception. And she was good at it. When she got home that night, she brought me a cupcake. Chocolate chip, my favorite. Said her sister had extra from some birthday party. I took it, said thanks. Told her I'd been watching a documentary on sharks. She laughed, said that's so you. But in that moment, something shifted. Because I realized she thought I was still the same Tyler. Still predictable, still slow, still blind. But I wasn't. The plan had already begun. I went to the printer in the guest room and pulled out the envelope. Thick paper, no return address, sealed tight. She hadn't seen it yet, but she would. Because Tuesday was her company's quarterly recognition day. Speeches, awards, a catered lunch. Her name was on the guest list. And so was the delivery. A box wrapped in crimson, arriving at exactly 2:30 p.m. The box arrived with a whisper, not a bang. Victoria's office, 12th floor, North Wing PR and Communications. Wide glass walls, open plan desks. All bright whites and polished smiles. I had scoped the delivery logistics a week prior. Sent it via private courier, with instructions to hand it directly to Mrs. Victoria Campbell. Signature required. No exceptions. 2:32 p.m. Courier checked in. 2:35 p.m. Victoria signed. 2:36 p.m. The fuse lit. I wasn't there, but I might as well have been. One of her co-workers filmed part of it. I saw the clip later, sent anonymously. Of course, that's the thing about offices. Once one person smells blood, everyone becomes a reporter. She opened the box right at her desk. People around her were still eating Caesar salads, sipping sparkling water and scrolling through emails. The lid came off. She reached inside. First, the hotel receipts, printed high resolution, stapled together. 4 different hotels, 4 different dates, all charged to her personal card. Then the photos. Marcus had done well. Better than I hoped, honestly. One showed her holding hands with BMW guy. Another, my favorite, was from the Hilton hallway, where she'd paused to fix her hair. In the reflection of a vending machine, before pressing the keycard, she looked proud of herself, like a girl about to win a game. She thought only she was playing. At the bottom of the box, I placed the burner phone. One button turned on the gallery, and it were screenshots of her texts. Some flirty, some explicit, all time-stamped. And a video, just audio actually, of her laughing on a call. I can't believe he still has no idea. Tyler's like a golden retriever. Loyal, dumb, and always happy to see me. It's kind of pathetic. Her voice clear as crystal, smug, cruel. The clip ends with her saying, "If he ever finds out, I'll cry, blame hormones, and distract him with cupcakes." Apparently she forgot I don't like chocolate chip that much. The video cut off right as someone, her boss I think, stood over her desk and asked, "Victoria, are you okay?" From the report I got later, she didn't answer. She just stared into the box, like it was a bomb that hadn't gone off yet. Then she stood quiet, shaking, eyes darting like she was trying to figure out who else knew, who had seen. Then she screamed. Not loud, not angry. Just this raw, sharp sound that froze the entire floor. By 2:50 p.m., she was gone. Grabbed her purse, heels in hand. Box clutched to her chest like it was her baby. By 3:20 p.m., I had a voicemail. Her voice was different. Small, like someone who just realized. The walls weren't made of stone. They were mirrors. She said, "Tyler, I don't know what that was. I can explain. Just please call me back." I was busy changing the locks. The knock came at 9:23 p.m. 4 sharp raps. No doorbell, no text, no warning. Just her. Victoria standing on the porch, in that same blazer from work. Eyeliner smeared, hair pinned up. Like she'd tried to reclaim some sense of order, but gave up halfway through. I watched her through the peephole. She was holding her phone in one hand, and that crimson box in the other, like a twisted offering. Her nails were chipped. She'd been biting them, something she hadn't done since college. She knocked again, louder this time. "Tyler," she said. "I know you're in there." I opened the door slowly, deliberately. No words, just stood there. Her eyes darted across my face, searching for softness. She wouldn't find any. "Can I come in?" she asked. "No." She blinked. That stunned, entitled blink people do, when the script they've rehearsed suddenly stops working. "Tyler, I don't know what that was. Who sent it but this?" She shook the box. "This isn't the whole story. You're blowing this way out of proportion." I crossed my arms. "Which part am I blowing out of proportion? The hotel stays? The audio? The part where I'm a golden retriever?" That hit. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. Then she did what I knew she would. Turned it back on me. "You went through my phone. You spied on me." "That's disgusting, Tyler. That's a violation." I laughed. Not loudly, just enough that she flinched. "I didn't go through your phone. I went through your lies." That was the first crack. The mask started to slip. Her voice got higher. "You had someone follow me. You weren't exactly hiding." "Jesus Christ, Tyler. You've been plotting. Sitting on this? What kind of psycho?" "Enough," I said, quiet, firm. "Don't twist this. You weren't being hunted. You were being watched. You paraded your betrayal around like a trophy. You laughed at me in my house." She stepped back like she'd been slapped, but her expression hardened almost instantly. That's Victoria. Always lands on her feet. Always shifts gears. "So what now?" she spat. "You humiliate me at work. Change the locks like some jilted ex." "And what? You feel powerful?" "No," I said. "I feel awake." That stopped her cold. I reached behind the door and handed her a manila envelope. Inside, a copy of the house deed, 2 notarized separation documents I had drawn up earlier that week, and the keys to her car. "I want you out," I said. "Legally, emotionally, entirely. You're not serious." "I've never been more serious." She stood there stunned, clutching the box and the envelope, like 2 pieces of a reality. She never expected to collide. Then came the venom. "You're going to regret this," she said. Low, threatening. "You think anyone else is going to put up with you? With your routines and your silence? And your boring little world? I cheated because I had to." "You're a vacuum, Tyler. You suck the life out of people." I nodded. Then I just did you a favor. I closed the door in her face, and on the other side I heard nothing. No crying. No pleading. Just silence. She was gone by the morning. The first smear came through my mother. Monday morning, coffee in hand, rain tapping against the kitchen window. I was finally starting to breathe, like a man who'd been pulled out of a burning building. And then the phone rang. Tyler. Mom's voice was tentative. I just got off the phone with Victoria. I didn't say anything, just stared at the steam rising off the mug. She's very upset. She says there's been a big misunderstanding. That you've done something impulsive. There it was. The spin. Victoria, the PR queen, couldn't help herself. She didn't crumble. She rebranded. According to her, I'd suffered a mental break, grown paranoid, and hacked into her personal life. She told my own mother that I had staged a public meltdown at her workplace and violated her privacy in ways she never thought possible. She didn't mention the affairs, didn't mention the receipts, didn't mention calling me a golden retriever. To another man while I was fixing her broken garage door, I asked Mom a single question. Did she tell you why I kicked her out? Silence. Then a soft, hesitant no. I told her I'd email everything. Let her judge for herself. I didn't yell, didn't curse. Just send a PDF. Let the facts speak. But Victoria didn't stop there. She called my best friend Connor. Said I was spiraling. That she was worried for me. Said she still loved me, but didn't know how to help me anymore. She called it emotional burnout. What a term. Connor, to his credit, didn't buy it. He showed up at my place with 2 six-packs and a laptop. Said, want help nuking her social accounts? We didn't. I wasn't interested in revenge. I was interested in clarity. That night, I finally opened the secret folder I'd kept for weeks. All the screenshots, all the hotel bookings, the video file. I named it truth.x and dropped it into a private Google Drive, just in case. Victoria had started the game, but I was building the board. Then came the twist I wasn't expecting. An email. Anonymous. No subject line. Inside was a single sentence. She's done this before. Attached a forwarded thread of messages. Old ones from 5 years ago. Different man. Different city. Same pattern, same charm, same lies. She hadn't just cheated on me. I was part of a cycle. A list, a lineup of men who thought they were the only one. And just like that, the heartbreak shifted. From grief to disgust, I spent the entire night chasing ghosts. The anonymous email didn't come from a burner. It came from an old Gmail account, under the name Dalton92. It took me less than 10 minutes to trace the recovery info and connect it to David Holloway, a freelance graphic designer based out of Tampa. I found his LinkedIn, his portfolio, and then a photo. Victoria smiling beside him at a wine festival in 2020, hand on his chest, wearing the same white sundress. She'd told me she lost on a girls' trip that summer. I stared at that photo for an hour, not because I was surprised, but because it was the first time I realized just how well practiced she was. This wasn't impulsive cheating. This wasn't a marriage slipping. This was a routine. I reached out to David. Short message, straightforward. She did it to me too. Want to talk? He replied within 15 minutes. We spoke over Zoom. 3 hours. No cameras, just voices. Low, tired, familiar in that wounded kind of way. He told me he met Victoria in Boston at a PR conference. She introduced herself as single, said she was between relationships. They dated long distance for a year. She visited Tampa 6 times. Said she was tired of Dallas. They talked about moving in together. He even looked at condos. Then one night she vanished. No warning. Blocked his number. Ghosted him entirely. 4 months later, he saw her tagged in a Facebook album. Victoria and Tyler's 6th anniversary. She'd gone right back to me, smiling like nothing had happened. Wearing the necklace he bought her. She lied so smoothly, man, he said. It was like watching someone act out a role. And the scary part, I think she believed it. I told him about the hotel receipts, the crimson box, the voicemail. He whistled low. You got farther than I did. I never even got a goodbye. We agreed on one thing before we hung up. Victoria didn't love people. She collected them. Each man was a mirror she stood in front of, admiring herself until the glass cracked. And then she'd find another one. After we disconnected, I sat alone in the dark. The air in the room was heavy, like all the lies she ever told were still hanging there, unsaid. I looked around at our house. The art she picked, the couch she insisted on. The rug from that trip to Savannah, where she cried after I said I wasn't ready for kids yet. Every piece of our home felt like a trophy for her, a monument to manipulation. So I started packing. Not her stuff. Mine. Let her have the space. Let her explain the empty closet to her friends. Let her walk through the echo of what we used to be. I wasn't running. I was evacuating. Because the real fire hadn't even started yet. The text came from an unknown number. At 3:47 p.m. on a Thursday. I'm sorry to reach out like this. Are you Victoria's husband? Nina. No last name, no introduction, just that. I stared at the message for a full minute, before typing back, not anymore. 3 dots. Then a wall of text. She introduced herself properly this time. Nina Torres, 26, lives in Orlando. Said she met Victoria through a friend of a friend. That part was vague, but what wasn't vague was the fact that she had been seeing a man named Reed. A man who she now realized had been introduced to her by Victoria, because Reed was one of the men Victoria had been sleeping with. And Nina was dating him too. I didn't know, she wrote. I swear I wouldn't be messaging you if I wasn't sick over it, but I thought you should see this. Attached were screenshots, messages between Victoria and Reed. I know you're tired of her. You said I was different. I'm better than that sad little girl you're playing house with. And then buried in a long scroll of texts, one that made my heart still. He has no idea, and when he does, I'll just do what I always do. Cry, blame him, bake something. Men are so damn easy. That's who she was. That's who she'd always been. I told Nina the truth. Not for revenge, for clarity. She deserved to know she wasn't the only casualty in this wreckage. But Nina did something unexpected. She confronted Victoria in person. At her yoga studio, the aftermath made its way online. Apparently, Nina waited for Victoria outside the studio. Caught her on the sidewalk, in front of 2 instructors and a woman walking her dog. No screaming, no fists. Just Nina holding her phone, reading the messages out loud. Victoria stood there frozen. Face blank, arms crossed, like she could still spin her way out of it. Witnesses said Nina dropped the phone at her feet and said, "You're not misunderstood. You're just toxic." Victoria didn't respond, just turned and walked away. But the ripple was real. That video hit a local gossip account on Instagram. Later that night, no names, no tags, just titled, "When You Catch the Spider at Its Own Web." The comments lit up, and the world she used to control with charm and charisma started to shrink. She called me that night. Didn't leave a message. Then she texted, "You think this is going to break me? You think you're some kind of hero? You're pathetic, Tyler. I made you interesting. Without me, you're nothing." I didn't respond, but I did take a screenshot. It didn't take long. By Wednesday, whispers had turned to emails, and emails turned to meetings. Her company, the sleek boutique PR firm she'd once bragged was built on trust and taste. Put her on leave, indefinite. The HR letter was cold. Pending investigation into inappropriate conduct involving clients and colleagues. We are requesting you step away from all public-facing responsibilities. Translation: You embarrassed us, Victoria. You're a liability now. She tried to play it off, of course. On her socials, she posted a vague story about taking a break to focus on mental health, a boomerang of a matcha latte, and a book on personal renewal. But the comments weren't buying it. Someone dropped the office delivery story in the replies. No names, just the story, but enough detail that people knew. One woman wrote, "Oh, is this the same Victoria who had the Crimson Box moment at Capstone PR?" That phrase, the Crimson Box moment, stuck. It trended locally. It became office slang. Meanwhile, I'd fully moved out. New apartment, smaller place. Nothing fancy. Clean walls, quiet neighborhood, peace. But she wasn't done. Not even close. She showed up at my new place. Somehow got the address. Knocked like she lived there. When I opened the door, she was crying. Real tears this time. Or at least better acted. "I lost my job, Tyler." I said nothing. She sniffed, wiped her eyes, took a step closer. "I messed up." "Okay, I know I did." "But you didn't have to destroy me." She pulled a piece of paper from her purse. I thought it might be a letter. An apology. It was a character reference request. She wanted me to sign a document, vouching for her behavior as a partner. For court. Apparently, one of the men she tangled with. Reed was threatening legal action. Emotional damages, fraud, professional sabotage. She was being sued, and she thought I'd help her. I stared at the paper. Then I looked at her. "You need me," she said, lip trembling. "You always said I was part of you." I shook my head. "You were the part I've already cut out." And then I closed the door again. But this time, she didn't leave quietly. Through the peephole, I saw her crumble on the welcome mat. Not dramatic, not cinematic. Just collapse. Sitting there in silence. And I felt nothing. No sympathy, no pity, not even rage. Just cold. I watched her sit there for 20 minutes, before she finally got up, straightened her jacket, and walked away. She didn't knock again. But the war wasn't over, because what she did next was unforgivable. I should have known she wouldn't go quietly. Victoria never left a room, without setting a match behind her. It came through someone I never expected. Blake, my cousin. Grew up together. Practically brothers. He helped me move out of the house. Drank beers with me the night after the delivery. To her office. Swore he had my back. But he didn't. One night I get a call from Connor. No small talk. "You need to check Blake's Instagram story right now." I opened it. A short video. Victoria sitting at a rooftop bar, glass of white wine in hand. Laughing. The caption. "People make mistakes. Some people turn them into war crimes." "Here's to growth," clinking glasses emoji. Tagged at Blake Winslow. The blood drained from my face. She was sitting across from him. Blake smiling, talking, leaning in like they were catching up after a long week. My stomach turned. I called him. Straight to voicemail. Texted. "You serious?" No reply. The next day I got a message from him. "It's not what it looks like." She reached out. Said she needed someone to talk to. I thought I could be the middle ground. Be fair. Fair? I didn't even bother responding. He knew what she'd done to me. He saw the photos, heard the audio, watched me break down. And yet there he was, laughing on a rooftop, sipping drinks with the woman who set fire to my life. That night I didn't sleep, because I realized something chilling. Victoria wasn't trying to fix anything. She wasn't trying to make peace. She was rebuilding, using my connections, my blood, twisting the people who were supposed to be my shelter. Later, someone told me she had started reaching out to other friends, carefully, subtly, posing as the misunderstood wife, painting me as emotionally distant, vengeful, unstable. One person told me she cried during a phone call and said Tyler just switched off, like he didn't even love me at all. Classic Victoria. Set the house on fire, then cry because it's cold. I cut Blake off completely. No call, no explanation. Just silence. And that's when I started noticing other things. People ghosting me. DMs not answered. Friends who used to check in didn't. She was poisoning the well. Quietly, softly, masterfully. Because if there's one thing Victoria knows how to do, it's manipulate narrative. But what she didn't realize is I'd already started building mine, and hers was about to collapse in public. Her downfall began in a comment section. Not in a courtroom, not in a dramatic confrontation, not even with a loud accusation. Just a thread beneath a photo she posted, a filtered picture of a beach, captioned, "Healing isn't linear. Grateful for the lessons, even the hard ones." The comments were the usual mix of enablers and vague sympathy. "So proud of you," 2 hearts emoji. "You're so strong, Victoria. People don't understand your journey." But then someone, anonymous account, no profile photo, replied, "Your journey includes lying to 4 different men and cheating on your husband while pretending to be a victim. Let's not forget the fake crying in yoga class. No likes at first, then 3, then 30. And then the floodgates opened. More anonymous accounts, screenshots, tagged users. A woman named Tasha posted a story, calling Victoria a manipulative PR snake. Apparently, Victoria had tried to pin a failed pitch campaign on her. While secretly sleeping with the client, a former intern wrote, "She told me once, truth is negotiable. Perception isn't." Now I get it. Someone even reposted part of the infamous audio clip, the golden retriever quote, over a video of her smiling during a panel talk. On ethics and branding, it went viral in niche circles. Within a week, her professional image wasn't just dented, it was obliterated. Capstone PR officially terminated her. Statement released. "We are committed to accountability, transparency, and upholding standards that reflect the trust our clients place in us." No mention of her name. But everyone knew. She took down her website, disabled comments, turned her Instagram private. The house, our house, was listed a few days later. Price reduced. Staging photos wiped of any trace of us. And then came the final unraveling. She reached out to Connor, my best friend, called him at work, left a voicemail saying she needed a male perspective, and just wanted to understand how things had gone so wrong. She always needed someone to explain the damage to her. Never owned it. Just needed a script to perform it away. Connor told her, "You know exactly what you did, and no one's buying your act anymore." Then he hung up. She had no one left. Not her friends, not her flings, not her career. She tried to burn my world down, and now she was standing in the ashes of her own. But I wasn't done yet, because there was one thing left. She didn't know. One last reveal. I waited for the right moment, not out of spite, but out of strategy. Victoria had always played the short game. Lies for the moment, charm for the day, tears for the scene. But me, I'd learned she played defense. I played checkmate. The final reveal came in the form of a podcast, months back during the thick of it all, when the texts were unraveling. The delivery box was still smoking in her office. I'd been contacted by a producer from a mid-tier relationship advice podcast. They were doing a series on betrayal and deception. Wanted anonymous stories. I said yes. Told my tale cleanly. No rage, no drama. Just dates, actions, and evidence. They masked my voice, changed the names. But the details, those were untouched. The episode dropped last week. Title: The Crimson Box Delivery. When your spouse has no idea you're 3 moves ahead. Within 72 hours, it was number 2 on Spotify's trending. People connected the dots fast. The PR queen, the audio clip, the golden retriever line. It all led to Victoria. And now she couldn't spin it, because she couldn't deny it was her. She messaged me one final time. "You humiliated me. You made me a meme. You couldn't just move on, could you?" I didn't reply. Not at first. But after rereading it a few times, I typed back 4 words. "No more reruns, Victoria." She read it. Didn't respond. Because there was nothing left to say. She used people like mirrors. And I finally let her see the one reflection she couldn't control. Herself. She thought I was the background character in her messy, chaotic, romanticized drama. But I was the writer, and I just penned the final chapter. Well, almost. It's been 8 months. No headlines, no updates, no more surprises. Just stillness. I've moved twice since the house. The second place feels right. Modest, clean lines, good light. No memory trapped in the walls. I don't flinch at the sound of notifications anymore. I sleep, I breathe. And I don't think about her every day. Only sometimes. Not in the way you'd expect. Not with bitterness. Not even pain. Just observation. Like a memory of a storm you once drove through. Windshield wipers slapping against a downpour. Knuckles white on the wheel. But now the sky is dry and you're still driving. I never responded to her last message again. Never spoke to Blake. Never checked if she got sued. I didn't need the ending to be loud, because the silence that follows someone like her is the ending. I ran into her once. Grocery store. Not dramatic, no screaming. She was in the frozen foods aisle, staring at a bag of cauliflower rice. She didn't see me at first. But when she did, when her eyes lifted and locked on mine, there was no performance, no tears, no manipulation. Just emptiness. She didn't say a word. Neither did I. She looked away first, walked off like a stranger. And that's what we are now. Sometimes people ask if I'll ever trust again, if I'll ever let someone get close. And I tell them this: I'm not afraid of love. I'm afraid of loving someone who wears it like a costume. What I learned: you can't save someone from who they are. You can only save yourself from drowning with them. So, this is my last post. No more stories, no more pieces of her. She doesn't live here anymore. And to anyone reading this, anyone standing in the middle of confusion, suspecting, doubting, aching silently, you already know. You don't need more proof. You need peace. Walk, even if your legs shake, even if your voice cracks, even if you still love them. Walk. You'll survive. And one day, you'll stand in a grocery store and realize you don't even flinch anymore. Tyler.